ones are cherished for everyone associated with the club.
May 2025, Bilbao. After 6,296 days of silence, the trophy cabinet finally opened. Tottenham Hotspur were Europa League champions. The curse was finally broken, and for a moment it felt like the start of a new era. However, fast forward to January 2026, that trophy feels like a million years ago. Spurs didn't just replace their manager, they replaced their identity and style of football. They left the high risk of Postecoglou's football to the data-driven pragmatism of Thomas Frank. Reason? Stability. Reality? Disaster. Currently sitting 12th on the table and just 12 points above relegation, and coming off a 9-man meltdown against Liverpool. This isn't the new era fans were promised. This is a breakdown of Thomas Frank's era at Tottenham and why things have gone south and what could be done to redeem the season. Tottenham Hotspur are an interesting case in football right now, having recently ended their 17-year trophy drought with their Europa League win last season in May, and currently in a new era under new head coach Thomas Frank. It looks like Tottenham's story was about to change for the better to compete with top teams in the league and Europe. However, that transition has been statistically underwhelming. The season is halfway and the stats are greatly not in Tottenham's favour, from points picked up to defensive fragility, discipline issues and another relegation shadow growing. The Thomas Frank era hasn't been smooth sailing at all. The January transfer window is near, and so is a chance for Tottenham to redeem their season. Let's start with how the season began for the Spurs. On June 12, the hiring of Thomas Frank was announced just 16 days after Postecoglou led Spurs to their first trophy in 17 years. The move was highly controversial and was very confusing for me personally. However, Chairman Daniel Levy and Technical Director Johan Lange claimed they couldn't ignore the domestic collapse which saw Tottenham finish 17th in the previous season, their worst since 1977. The board wanted Frank's statistical precision and tactical flexibility to fix Spurs' defense that has been leaking goals under Postecoglou's management. This dramatic move cost Tottenham €10 million to trigger Frank's release clause from Brentford. New manager on board means a massive transfer window, as Spurs roughly spent €172 million in the summer, while only recouping about €12 million, leading to one of the highest net spends in world football. Before all the spending occurred, Tottenham had a big emotional blow with Son Heung-min leaving the club for LAFC for $19.5 million, as the club sought to refresh the squad and move on from his high wages. Headline arrivals came in Mohamed Kudus from West Ham for $55 million. He is seen as the replacement for Son's attacking threat. Xavi Simons, who is intended as the creative engine of the team, was bought from RB Leipzig for $51.8 million. And Spurs also permanently bought Matis Tel from Bayern Munich. Kevin Danso and João Pina were targeted to restabilize the defense and work the midfield respectively. Overall, Tottenham's summer transfer window was built on the club choosing cold pragmatism and a hardcore win-now mentality over emotional momentum. This approach hasn't paid off for Spurs. Thomas Frank's rigid system has given Tottenham a big contrast in their dismal Premier League consistency and a strong Champions League form. Spurs are currently 12th on the Premier League table with 26 points. While they started the season on a strong note with back-to-back wins and also pulling some massive one-off results, they have struggled to put together a good form. The team has also struggled against the likes of Fulham, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, their rivals Arsenal in a humiliating defeat. They also had a massive disaster clash against Liverpool, losing 2-1 and getting 2 red cards in Romero and Simons. A run of matches shows Spurs are still where they were last season and maybe even worse as compared to Postecoglou this time last season. They have scored less, conceded more compared to last season. Their win rate has also significantly dropped from 43.8% to 37.5% with a bigger defensive fragility. Although Thomas Frank is known for his defensive organization, Spurs have the 4th worst home record in the league this season. However, the team looks much better in the Champions League, likely because the league phase of football favors Frank's knockout-style tactics. Frank was brought in to supposedly fix the leaky defense that Tottenham were dealing with during Postecoglou's time, but the opposite is being done. Frank's tactics has greatly hindered Spurs' attacking threats and creative football. Frank's methodical and defensive approach to football is a total 180 degrees from Postecoglou's high-risk, high-reward style. The players seem to appear to be caught between the two philosophies. Under Frank, the team sits deeper and have increased their share of long passes by over 50%, which has stifled technical players like Simons and Kudus. Also, players like Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie, who are inverted fullbacks, have been turned to traditional defensive players, cutting down a great deal of Tottenham's scoring chances. There's also the situation of late changes and formation flip-flopping. Frank makes a lot of last-minute changes before games, which confuses and frustrates players. Thomas Frank has also switched between the 3-5-2 and 4-3-3 formation 13 times in 17 games this season. This hasn't allowed the team to build any rhythm to work on. Personally, I feel that Thomas Frank is also treating Tottenham as a mid-table team with survival and risk minimalist tactics. Tottenham now sits back, play long balls and focus on set pieces rather than outright dominate. As I've previously said, this approach completely bypasses the midfield, which kind of makes Spurs boring to watch. This is clearly not good for a team with high ambitions and 170 million plus spent in the summer. This makes them look lost and lack confidence despite the good players they have. Thomas Frank hasn't just been unable to coordinate the team and win games, he has also lost the fans and the stadium. Fans were heavily disappointed with the lackluster football played in the North London derby. Their disappointment was further increased when Spurs lost at home to Fulham the following week. Fans booed goalkeeper Vicario after he made a major mistake that resulted into the second goal. Frank heavily criticized the fans for their action, deeming it unacceptable, which resulted in a backlash from the fans. The backlash created a fans versus coach narrative. Apart from that, there has been reports of dressing room leaks. On November 1st, after Spurs' 1-0 defeat to Chelsea, cameras caught the moment when Mickey van der Vaart and Gigi Spence snubbed Thomas Frank's customary handshake after games. This moment fueled the speculation of growing tension, loss of respect, and tactical frustrations the players have with the head coach over late changes, rigid style of playing, and poor results. Spurs' major problem is their lack of attacking football and heavy focus on defending. Thomas Frank will have to do a full tactical pivot and bring back through football, as they've attempted only one successful through ball at home this season, the lowest in the league. Frank must move away from the safe passing of João Palhinha and Pepe Matosa and integrate technical players more consistently into the midfield to provide more creativity that Xavi and Kudus are desperately searching for. There is also the need to unleash the fullbacks to their inverted roles that will create more attacking overload similar to last season. Furthermore, the January transfer window is here, a golden chance for Tottenham to reinforce their team. Tottenham will need to address their defensive issues as they've already been linked to a move for John Paul from Brighton. He is viewed to bring calmness to Spurs' aggressive and reckless defense. Tottenham will also need to bring in more technical midfielders and also get a backup striker for Richarlison in the absence of Dominic Solanke. Frank must also learn how to manage the players by trusting their natural talents rather than micromanaging their every move. This is the only way to prevent a total dressing room collapse. Thomas Frank and the players also need to earn back the fans' trust, love and culture by acknowledging this is a transition phase that needs time and patience. Winning Europa League gave Tottenham a taste of what it feels like to be a high-achieving club, which has propelled them into this new era. So for Tottenham, redemption is not just about winning some games. It's about giving good performance and winning consistently to build the club's identity and image in this new era. Thomas Frank needs to understand this and stop treating the squad as an underdog. He needs to start using the world-class talent at his disposal to save not just himself and his job, but also the soul and the spirit of the club. As usual, comment down what you think about Spurs and the areas they can improve in.